Hey guys, this is Franco from Corvette Garage, and I'm going to show you how to prep your LS6 intake manifold for your Corvette, F-body, whatever, mostly for an LS1. So let's take a look at the manifold here. So this is an LS6 intake. This is the one that I showed you guys last time, and I'm going to be putting this on my LS1 Corvette. I have a 2000 Corvette, and there's a few ways you could prep this. Well, actually, there's a couple ways you could prep this. So what I did on this is, if you look at this is completely smooth right here. Let me get a close-up right there. So the bottom of the manifold is all smooth. There used to be fins here, kind of like this, but a lot more. You might be able to kind of see the designs of the fins. You can see them a little bit. But anyways, the reason you want to do this is the LS6 manifold sits lower than the LS1s. So on the LS1 engines, I don't remember if all the years have them, but they have coolant steam vents that run across from head to head, or from the top of the where the valley is to the other side. And those steam vents, the tubes, they'll hit the bottom of this manifold if you have all the fins on here. There's pads that go here, which I ripped off, and I'm not going to be reusing the new pads that come with the gaskets because don't need them. So a few things you want to do. So this is the way I did mine. I should have did a video of me actually doing the work, but I forgot. So what I did is I got one of these little die grinders from Harbor Freight for 10 bucks. I got it with a 1/4-inch shank, and I got a 60 grit little sand wheel, the little sandpaper wheel on here, and I just grinded this all down. So if you guys never used a die grinder before, just a heads up, it's going to take up, if you know, depending on the size of your compressor, it takes up a lot of air to run these. So it'll make your compressor cycle a lot. So you could get one of these right here. This will do the job really quick. Some people talk about the hammer and chisel method. You could use that too, but I've never seen people use that, but a lot of people do. I was just afraid I don't want to damage the manifold, so I just used the grinder. So pretty much the steam vents, I think they run across, or maybe across the front right here, and then there's one that runs back here somewhere. But you know, doing some research, I found, and talking to a couple of mechanic friends of mine who work for Chevrolet, they told me to just grind the whole thing off and don't need the pads, and then just stick the manifold on. Now, some of the things you want to do before you stick the manifold on are check your knock sensors. So a lot of people, what they do is they'll pull off the knock sensors, the little rubber. I'll make a video on installing this also. They pull off the rubber caps for the knock sensors, and they put they recommend you use the GM RTV stuff and reseal them back up. That way no water or anything gets in there. So also, some people do the LS6 vent tube, the steam tube conversion, which eliminates the tube from the rear, and you just use, I think, one tube in the front. So that kit comes with plugs or something. I don't remember. I've never seen it. But the reason I didn't do that is after doing some research, some people and even technicians have said you're better off keeping the steam vent tubes for the rear, because after plugging those off, cylinders 7 and 8 have had issues where they burn out or something. So I don't know how true that is, but I don't want to replace the steam. I don't want to delete the steam tubes. I'm leaving them on. I did this method so I could just put the manifold on. Shouldn't have any issues. Another thing I might do is I might hammer down the rear vent tube a little bit, but I don't know yet. I'll have to check for clearance first. So make sure you cover these all up, are your intake ports. Also, what I've done is I've put this through the dishwasher when I bought this manifold, and it was pretty dirty inside. It came off of a 40,000 mile LS1 Corvette, 04, I believe, and I put this through the dishwasher. So this is a pretty good way to clean this manifold, these plastic manifolds. So another thing I wanted to talk about was the torque specs on these. So the torque spec on this manifold is 89 inch-pounds. And when you mount this, and just a heads up, you guys want to replace, anytime you guys buy a used manifold like this, no matter how many miles, I recommend you guys replace the gaskets. So just buy all the gaskets for like 20 bucks or whatever. replace all the gaskets, and get a throttle body gasket as well. They're only like a few bucks. It's worth it. So when you guys install this, I'll show this in the video as well, on the installation video. What you're going to want to do is, here's the bolt holes right here. These are all the bolt holes. You want to start from the center bolts. After you put them in hand tight first. Start them, hand tight. And then what you want to do is you want to torque these to only 40 inch-pounds at first. So you're going to pretty much go this either side, but kind of like in an outward pattern. So you do these first, then go up to these, then you can go out to these. Then, either way, you gotta go out, away from the middle, pretty much. Don't tighten them, clockwise or counterclockwise. You want to go from the center to the outer bolts. So you first do your pattern at 40 inch-pounds, and then you go up to 89 inch-pounds, and you should get a good seal after you do that. So some people were asking about the grinding. The grinding went by fairly easy. I mean, with this right here, I was able to do this whole job in about probably 15 minutes. I mean, once you hit that first fin, it grinds it down immediately. I mean, you can see how the plastic melted on. I peeled some of it off where it just melts on the sandpaper right there on the wheel. So I got a few other videos coming up. I'll have a Cars and Coffee video that I'm going to Cars and Coffee tomorrow, and then I'll have another video for the installation of the LS6, and then I'm probably going to have a dyno video because I'm going to dyno the car after I do the LS6. I don't know if this car's ever been dynoed yet because it's got long tube headers, exhaust, and a few other small things, but after I do this, I'm going to have it dyno tuned. So I made an appointment to do all that stuff, and you guys will see that in another video coming soon. So for the next video, you're going to see is probably the Cars and Coffee video, and then you guys are going to see a LS6 intake manifold installation video. There's not too many of those online, I don't think. There's a few. I think Diablo Performance has one. Diablo Formula Performance. It's Andy. He's one of the guys that I've talked to and stuff. He's a really good guy. He knows his stuff. He's like an LS master. So he's got good tips as well. That's where I got one of these tips from. So watch out for those videos, and I'll see you guys soon.